Hello everyone, Lytro Storm here, and today we are diving back in to finish the GT variation of What If Goku Never Hit His Head. If you haven't watched parts 1 through 8, and the first GT part, you need to do so now. The link to the series is in the description and comments section. But as a short recap of the last part, basically Pan and Oob trained with Kakarot and his family after the 10-year time skip. Kakarot was never turned into a kid, so instead Dr. Mew and his men all just attacked Earth. This led to Baby going around and taking over everybody, eventually getting Kakarot as well. He made him his main host, and so now Raditz is on Supreme Kai's planet, and Bardock is going with the Kais to try and get everyone safe on planet Sefuru. Also, Trunks and Cella have a baby, Goten has a baby, and Krillin has a son about the same age as Pan. So yeah, that's the recap. So now that we've done that, let's go ahead and get straight into the video. The Kais and Bardock arrive on planet Sefuru, and Bardock immediately flies over to fight Baby's goons. He tells him that he should fight one-on-one like a real Saiyan, however Baby reminds him that he isn't a Saiyan. He would never stoop to such stupidity. At the same time, Shin and Kibito create a large explosion nearby, and Baby, Goten, Cella, and Trunks all go after it and get the sacred waters splashed onto them. At that point, they then pass out and return back to normal. Meanwhile, Baby Vegeta and Piccolo are both beating down on Bardock, who proved to stand on his own against them, so Baby rewarded him by fighting himself. With Kakarot's body and an amp, it wasn't even gonna be a close fight. He's just gonna toss Bardock around, eventually leaving him on the ground, and at that point, Bardock looks up to the earth, and begins to transform into an Uzaru. However, he is a golden Uzaru instead of a normal one. Remember that Bardock never lost his tail. The monkey begins rampaging around, but luckily, he had some decent control over the form, and it is then that Baby would just be slamming him around, leading to Bardock controlling the form and going Super Saiyan 4. However, this is nowhere near enough. I'd like to remind you all that Baby Vegeta in his final form was around the level of Golden Uzaru Goku, give or take. He's in that power tier, but he could either be above or below. But normal Vegeta was only a bit stronger than Baby Gohan. The same Baby Gohan that in Super Saiyan got bopped by Goku's base form. Kakarot is much stronger in this timeline, so if he gets the same boost as Baby Vegeta, Super Saiyan 4 is not going to be nearly enough to stop him. He would proceed to easily dismantle Bardock with little effort. Luckily, this fight gave Shin and Kibito enough chance to free the other Z-Fighters from Baby's control, and so they would all arrive and give Bardock their energy. This unlocks Ultra Full Power Super Saiyan 4, but that's still nowhere near enough. He does much better, sure, but all Baby has to do is try a little bit harder. At this point, Raditz knows that he's got to get in there, and the Elder Kai says that he's right. If all that powering up won't do anything, his unlock isn't going to be any help whatsoever. It's best he goes now to do whatever he can. And while that may seem stupid, the Elder Kai agrees, and so he hands him his Patara earrings. This is the only way they can beat Baby now. This is the only chance that they have. If he fuses with Bardock, or maybe even someone else if he can't do that, they should have a better shot. Raditz thanks him, and Shin and Kibito teleport him to planet Sefuru. He appears, attempting to try and fuse with his father, but he just doesn't have an opening to throw him the earring. That's when Vegeta and the others step up, saying that they'll buy him some time, and they all charge in at Baby and get demolished, leaving our father and son. Raditz goes over to Bardock, who is now in base form, and gives him the earring. This is their only hope, so now the two fuse, becoming Raddock. It's at this point that Raddock goes Super Saiyan 4 and begins annihilating Baby. So much so that he has to use his final form, but even then, it's still nowhere near close to handle the Patara fusion. And so, as he's trying to escape to get to Bulma, Raddock would fire a Tyrant Lancer and erase the Sefurian from existence. This does kill Kakarot in the process, but at least their greatest threat is now gone. With that, the Kais begin spreading the sacred water all over the planet, and Piccolo makes a realization. This guy used the Black Star Dragon Balls, which means someone needs to search through space to find them before the Earth explodes. They've got about a year to do so, and so I think Raditz would volunteer. Joining him would be Pan and Chestnut, since the parents knew that they'd be safe with Raditz. And so a few days later, they begin their journey. Luckily, it doesn't have much interference, since Mew and everybody else previously involved are now dead. Meanwhile, Kakarot would arrive on King Kai's planet for the first time, and would talk to Piccolo through King Kai. The Namekian says that he should be taken out, so that way the Earth never have to suffer because of the Black Star Dragon Balls. However, Kakarot is of course going to refuse his brother's request. He tells him just to give him some time. He'll unlock a new power in the other world in order to protect Earth even better. He got taken over and Bardock achieved Super Saiyan 4. He's been left out of all that, and so if he gets the time, he'll gain new strength to stop anything from threatening Earth once again. Piccolo reluctantly agrees, and so Kakarot begins his training in Otherworld. Meanwhile, Vegeta and everyone else would go back to their normal lives and training. Many months would pass, and the group who went off into space would return with the balls. They give them to the Guardian of Earth, Piccolo, who places them in their proper place. Meanwhile, in Hell, Miyu would meet up with Dr. Gero, and the two would begin plans on a new android. However, 17 and 18 were both killed, and since they're both here in Hell, and Miyu knows that there are so many Saiyans, they're gonna make an alternate version of both of them. This would take a bit more time, maybe a few more months, but it would be worth it if it means that they would both get their revenge. And because Kakarot is focused on his training with both King Kai and just Otherworld in general, he wouldn't focus on Hell too much. He's gotta keep his promise to his brother Piccolo in order to ensure that he doesn't do anything drastic. And so, a year and a half would pass, and suddenly Hell would open up. With all the villains pouring out, Kakarot would immediately go to Hell to find out what's going on. However, he is met by Frieza and Cell. Miyu and Gero have already left, and they arrive on Earth with Super 17 and Super 18. They've already fused with their counterparts since it would be best to combine them and get them into their strongest forms before they have to go to Earth if they have the chance. So now the two super androids would rampage across the Earth and would eventually come across our Z Fighters. Vegeta, Bardock, Raditz, and Piccolo would all step up to fight the two, cycling through their forms. This forces Bardock to bring out Super Saiyan 4, but by this point the androids have absorbed so much energy from the Z Fighters. This means that a Super Saiyan 4 Bardock wouldn't be enough to win this alone. However, luckily, Vegeta had prepared for this. After seeing Super Saiyan 4 and the power of baby Kakarot up close, he knew that he had to gain some more strength. And so he now calls Bulma on his phone. She then arrives with the Blitzwave machine and proceeds to shoot them all at him. This allows for him to go Golden Uzaru and then Super Saiyan 4. Now with both of them together, they'd be able to trash the two androids with little difficulty, and luckily they're smart enough after their long fight not to fire a giant blast to let them absorb it like Goku did in canon. Or, you know, it's GT so it's not canon, but you get what I mean. Instead, they're both going to make final attacks on the two and kill both of them at the same time. It is then that Kakarot would arrive, but he's a bit late. He reunites with everyone still, having a day to return thanks to Baba. They ask if he has unlocked his new power as Piccolo had told him about that, and he would say yes. He'll show them later though. Preferably after the Earth is wished back to normal, and so they would try to do that summoning Shenron, but it is instead a Shadow Dragon who informs them of what's to come, and that they need to take down all the Shadow Dragons. The crew agrees to split up, with each group being able to handle most of the Shadow Dragons on their own. It is then that Kakarot would be approached by Nuova Shenron. However, he is going to be able to beat him up in base form. So Nuova powers up, and Kakarot knows that he needs to do the same. He charges up all of his energy and goes Super Saiyan 3. That is the power up he learned in his year and a half in Otherworld. And because he did that type of training in Otherworld, his base was just far superior to everyone else's, so when he's in Super Saiyan 3, consider it around the same power as his original Super Saiyan 4 self, give or take. This allows him to fight Nuova before Ice Shenron comes in and blindsides him. But luckily, Bardock comes in with the save and kills Ice with Super Saiyan 4. Nuova then gets shot in the back by Sin Shenron, and now our final bout would begin. Kakarot and Bardock attempt to go against him, but they're both just getting finessed by the Shadow Dragon. It is then that they would do a combined beam attack, with Bardock using a ×10 Tyrant Lancer. He fires this, nearly killing Sin, but luckily, he survives and absorbs the Dragon Balls. Vegeta now arrives using Super Saiyan 4 as well, but the three strongest Saiyans won't be nearly enough to match Omega Shenron. They get beaten down, and that's when Vegeta comes up with the plan. There's no way they're winning this, so he calls Bulma. She arrives with the Blitzwave machine, and Vegeta tells Kakarot that he and Bardock will buy him some time. Kakarot thanks his rival, and the Blitz machine would now hit him, making him go Golden Uzaru. He manages to control the form with the help of Pan and the others, and he is now in Super Saiyan 4. Now real quick, Golden Uzaru is a lot stronger than Super Saiyan 3, and Super Saiyan 4 is a lot stronger than that. So if Kakarot is already on the same level as his Super Saiyan 4 self, when using Super Saiyan 3, he's gonna be monstrous when he gets the actual form himself. And so with this power, he proceeds to fight Omega one-on-one. The two go at it for a while, both matching each other pretty evenly. However, Bardock knows a way to get stronger. Once again, Vegeta and him will buy him some time, and Piccolo will also do the same. And now he's gonna get energy from the other Saiyans. And so Omega is now terrified of the ultra full power Super Saiyan 4. The Shadow Dragon would decide to blow up Earth, sending a massive ball of minus energy down. However, Kakarot would not let that stand. He's way stronger than him now, and so he charges up a Kamehameha. He then fires it and overpowers the ball entirely. This kills the Shadow Dragon, and the gang would now celebrate with Kakarot smiling. He thanks Piccolo for letting him go into the other world, as he wouldn't have had that base form strength if he didn't train there. Piccolo told his brother that he was welcome, and that's when Shenron arrived. He told Kakarot that it was time to go, as the Dragon Balls needed to be purified. Kakarot steps up for this, but Piccolo says that he'll go. He was planning to die to get rid of the Black Star Dragon Balls, so if he can purify these ones, it should be him. Kakarot wants to fight this, but he knows his brother has already made up his mind. The two share a hug before Piccolo tells everyone goodbye, and then he leaves with Shenron. After that, Kakarot knows that it's time to go back to the other world. However, that's when the Kais would appear. The Elder Kai decides to be generous and gives him his life, as he's not really using it. They can't use the Namek Balls, as that would go against what they've learned, which is not to be selfish with the Dragon Balls. And so Kakarot thanks the Kai and returns to life, going on to protect Earth and train the next generation. At some point during the 100-year time skip, he, Raditz, Vegeta, and Bardock would all pass on. Goten's child Pick would end up having a kid himself, who would also have a child. The same can be said for Sella and Trunks' daughter Tights. Pan would have married Oob, as she had many years to bond and train with him in this timeline. And lastly, Bra and Chestnut would have been together as well. So at the end of the 100-year time skip, we would have Kakarot Jr., Vegeta Jr., Sella Jr., and Raditz Jr. It is cool to note that Sella Jr. would be around a 10th Saiyan. This is because Sella was a full-blooded Saiyan and had a child with Trunks, a half Saiyan. This makes their kid 3/4, and the kid after that would be a little over a 4th, so by the end they would be around a 9th, 10th, or 11th. Meanwhile, all the other ones are 1/16. But luckily, some of the gang's parents would be around and would be able to train them. And now that the 100 years were up, Piccolo would make his return. Not as a ghost, but as the real thing. Pan would look up to him and see him in the crowd, and eventually would approach him, and he would approach all of the young Saiyans. He states that his name is Piccolo, the Guardian of Earth, and he'll be training them. And that is where this series ends. So now that we've covered GT, What If Goku Never Hit His Head is officially done. I hope you all have enjoyed both versions of the story, as I really like this ending, to be honest. And go on to keep on watching my content because it's, really good. I would really appreciate it, as this was really fun to make. But as always, tell me if you like this part, comment your requests for future videos, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.